Okay, we're back again. So, back on this wheel. So he's got the pulley all cleaned up here. Looks a lot better than it did. Oop, don't even see it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on there. Oh, they use aluminum. Everybody else uses steel ring. They use aluminum. It's Indian for you. Okay, so I'm going to mount this on the bike. I went ahead and marked the wheel so I know which side's which. So this is right hand. Left hand. Usually the valve stem is on the right side, not always. This is our left side over here. Hey, it fits a Harley. What a shocker. Okay, so this had big Allen bolts, a lock washer, a standard cheapo nut, and red Loctite. So I'm going to do the same thing because that's what he wants. Use red Loctite. Do up all your bolts, stack them up here. Okay, now you just put everything together, quick and simple. I like using the Allen to turn here. So I put the washer on first, then the bolt, or the nut I mean. Push it out flush against the back of the hub flange there. You can hold the nut and just turn the Allen and go straight in. Otherwise you can cross through it. It's a little bit harder. You got to get it started first. There we go. The lock washes make it a little bit harder because it puts it at an angle. Things are not quite as easy. Last one. Okay. Just torque it down a little bit. Now the direction of force is this way, so I like to rotate them that way a little bit. I'm not putting full torque on it just yet. Spin around 180. Using these other ones. Now we go full torque. That's jamming in there. I don't know why the wrench jams in there. Shouldn't. pins on there so tight. It did. There we go. Try this again. Tight. Just when it wasn't full tight before. Tight. Tight. One more. Pretty tight. This has a lot of torque. You lose a lot of torque going through the long Allen and this, but we still got a lot of torque on this. I'm sure those things are pulled in really, really tight. Now if you want to know for sure how much torque you got on something, put your wrench on there that you can only get open in on and see if you can move it. And if you can move it, it's loose. That one ain't moving. Okay, this brake rotor we're not putting on right now. I'm going to go ahead and put the hardware on here so we don't lose it. I don't know how long before we're going to see a brake rotor. For a simple screw and bolt, that sure was hard. Residue Loctite is still on this stuff. They had red Loctite on these too. It's still there, still working. Or maybe it's just the rust. I'm not going to go to trouble to put that on there because that's a pain in the ass. Just redundant doing it. And it's not going to be tight anyway, so I put it on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the wheel in the back of the bike so we can roll around because I got to do the front wheel over there probably tomorrow. Or the next day. Sometime. Okay, so I'm going to put this back up in the back of the bike here and then make sure everything fits up like it's supposed to. Alright, see if the tire will fit up in here. Came out, so it should go back. Okay. Fighting in there, they're so high in the air. Now I get to bring it back down. As you drop it, you make sure the wheel doesn't move around. If it binds up, you stop. Right there, it started binding. So like I say, you want to make sure you're not binding it. You can see how things are jamming in here. That's why I was doing that. Where's that spacer at? Okay, this spacer here goes on the inside of the brake over here. It's got a shoulder that holds it in there, kind of. Okay, slide around into there. Spacer over here, which is going to be fun. You put the belt up on here, which I didn't do yet because I'm a dumbass. Figures. Now this spacer's screwing me on this side. Okay, that's all in there. Try to get this spacer in here for the rear. Got to go back up in the air for that. So these spacers are too big to go on the swing arm just sitting in. The swing arm's pinched, or these things are made too big. These are genuine Indian because they're all powder coated black. Nobody else does that, so I assume that's the way they wanted it. So I'm going to have to pry them in there with a screwdriver right here. This is not how I like doing stuff. Stupid way to do stuff, but whatever. I didn't design this junk. Indian did. Okay, what's bound up here? Something is not right. Oh, the spacer came out. Wonderful. Already got the other one jammed in there, so now this one's out. See, now I get that lip back in there. These swing arms are very flexible, these Indians. They're not very strong. It's a very weak design. Yep, not a very good design. Judge where the hole goes. Just about a mile. Okay, that's all back in there. And the other spacer probably is not in there. And I'm sure it's jammed in. Oh yeah. It's buried back in here, you can't get to anything. Yep, it's all in there sideways. What a shocker. Go. There we go. Got jammed in there at least. Okay, now we're too low in the back. Okay. Drop it a couple more times. Okay, so we get all this up in here like that. So this is where it stops. So if you look inside there, you can see where the axle is in there. So move it back to kind of where it goes all the way through straight. You can go ahead and give it a tap with a plastic hammer. Until it stops again. You go see where it's hitting. Volume up a little bit. So the bike's a little low. It's going to pick up the bike a little bit, or you got to drop the bike or pick up the rear wheel. It's easier just to pick the rear wheel up. And we're stopped on the shoulder, probably on the axle. Be my guess. Yep, because everything's in the center of the hole where it belongs. Just want to go in. we go. Everything's right in there now. Nut stuff back on here. Make sure your adjusters are all the way forward. Okay, so one trick you can do to make sure everything's forward all the way, because we haven't made any changes on anything, is you go over here and you push on the belt down like this. In this case I'm hitting on the swing arm, so you got to pull up. And as you pull up on that, that's going to pull us forward here. You give it a little tap right here in the back of the tire, and you tighten the axle nut over there. And you should hold it all the way fully against the stops all the way around. So that's what we're going to do. First you pull up, roll tap, come over here. Put your fingers in there, make sure there's no gap between the washer and the spacer. And then back swing arm. Should be good. So this isn't going to be permanent, so I don't need to get super tight on the axle nut. Just enough to make sure it's tight. Jack it up enough to make sure your fingers don't get jammed between the table and that. It really hurts when you jam your fingers into a wedge. Okay, so now I can go ahead and work the wheel freely. Make sure everything's working like it's supposed to. Here's your belt. This is probably okay on adjustment, but slightly loose. Probably wouldn't hurt to tighten it up a couple flats. Belts usually like to have a little bit of tension on them and like being loose like a chain. There's a lot of dirt and crap on the belt, so oh well. Anyway, that all seems to be in there good. You gotta look up in here for our tire clearance. We're very, very close. It's a good thing we moved that wheel over because we're right up on that thing. But you can see how the belt's all the way to the inside, not the outside. So as you rotate it, it should track to the outside edge if everything's correct. See how it's slowly moving itself over. Belts are made to track to the high point of the pulley, and the outside is always cut to be the high spot, front and back. Because if you put pressure on this thin little lip, it'll break it right off the back side. So if your rear wheel's out of adjustment a lot, it won't do this. Okay, now we have a lot more clearance up here. See? If you can see it, but there's clearance up on here now. Okay, obviously we don't have this on here, so we can't check the brake. Just want to make sure everything's in there. Last thing we do is check our clearances up on the fender up in there. And you can see how we got good clearance there. And got good clearance there. So it's hard to see with the camera. See, the camera's offset, you can't see the light. Basically, you stick your finger up in here. Where am I at? Okay, there we go. Okay, I got good finger clearance up in here. I don't know if you can see my finger, but got good clearance. I'm assuming both sides of my hand are the same. You can see how you got the same clearance up in here. So it's pretty good. We're pretty centered. So that's what we want to make sure. You also want to check in the back of the fender up in here. All this wiring and stuff is that. So I kind of eyeball it, make sure it looks centered in the back of the fender. This fender looks like it's like this on the bike. It's bent like this. So when you drop kick it and move it back, it'll center back over your tire a little better. So whoever had this fender bolts off up in here, when they tighten it back down, they didn't square it. Where the back of the frame is bent. This is what, oh, this is an internal fender, internal strutted fender. Wonderful. So anyway, it's custom. All right, so there you go. Got the new rear wheel in the back, so it looks really nice now, except you can't see it because the bags are hiding it. If you get way back here, you can kind of see it. So, and once you put the rotor on here, this will all hide about here. Anyway, it looks a lot better than that one right there. That's pretty butt ugly down there. So, oh well. The front one's going to be the same deal. This one's really flaky chrome there. So you let these things sit, and that's what happens. The chrome takes a crap. So this should just be a normal narrow glide front wheel off of a Sportster or an FX. And this is a mid-glide front end, so they put all these spacers in here, which is built in on this bike. Those actually look like they bolt in them. Anyway, they got their own design Indian uses, so you can see the big adapter they put on the hub down there for the rotor. And they stick a speedometer drive in there to mechanical speedo. Too cheap to put a real one in there, a digital. That would go right here. Because they use 5-speed trannies that have electronic driven devices, but Thunderheart didn't know how to make a... Thunderheart made all the electrics on these bikes. A bunch of junk. So they made the calipers. They probably made these stupid controls too, I bet. Yeah. Anyway, that's how it is. So a little time. Alright, so next thing I'm going to do, I got to flip the bike around and then do the front wheel, I guess. That'll be the next thing to play with. But not tonight. That's it for now.